Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it's time to do another kind of rare skill fusion showcase, but this time it's for a free-to-play unit, and it is the old Wielder of Magic Ranga. And there's one very good reason why this Ranga could be a very good skill fusion for people. And that's because he is meant to be on an orange-focused team. So right now, his second skill is what got the fusion. Increases magic allies' pierce power by 30% for 2 turns, and then orange skill point increase by 50% for 2 turns. Normally, this was like, when it came out, this was okay. It wasn't super great, but with the skill fusion, it now becomes an all-gauge increase for orange orbs, and it ups the limit to 3 turns, so increases all orange gauges by 50%. That is a smaller version of what Warrior's Mind BLANC is doing, because she's doing 70%, but for 2 turns. So you get an extra turn out of this at the cost of a little bit less gauge, but the fact that he is now buffing all orange gauges, skill points, protection, and alt, makes this actually a very strong free-to-play option for people who are running the Frieren team or the Tails team and needs that extra gauge for some reason. So that's why I thought it's important to do a showcase for him now. And remember that with free-to-play skill fusions, if you go into the corridor shop, they will give away all of the enhancements you need to actually build him back up from level 1 to level 10. But being a free-to-play character means that his initial cost to skill fuse is stupid high. Like, it should not be this high for a free-to-play character to get a skill fusion, but unfortunately, it is. So it costs 1 Omnicord, 15 rainbows, whereas like a normal EX character or old 5-star character costs like, what, 3? Like, why is this so high? I don't fucking know, but we're gonna do it anyways, so hopefully he's worth it. Obviously, you can't use the specific Ranga ones for this. They're only the generic ones, the specific attack skill ones. But now, we could use the specific Ranga ones, or you could use your circles if you don't have enough corridor points to buy all of them. Really up to you. But boom, level 4, and then level 7, and then we'll get up to the full 50% at level 10 using the last 15 of these. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and build a Frieren team or a Tails team, and let's show what an extra 50% gauge from a free-to-play character is going to look like. Alright, so first we're going to put him on the Frieren team, where both of his skills could actually be slightly useful, because obviously we have the 50% orange buff for 3 turns. The Pierce doesn't really matter, because this is not a Pierce-focused team, but his orb change is Wielder of Magic, and we have 1, 2, 3 other Wielder of Magic characters. The only person who isn't is Stark. So we have yet another orb changer if for some reason we can't do Raphael or Himmel, or we don't want to do one of them, then it's an option. But realistically, he's here just for the ease of use. Getting extra stacks of Himmel, getting extra skill points and alt gauge for our orange-focused team. So hopefully we get a good starting hand here. If not, we'll just reset. And without auto. Alright, what do we got? Okay. So, I mean, I guess we can do that. So, Raphael for Ranga, and then we'll yoink those into Frieren 6. Boom. And, okay. So we'll use it next turn, because we'll have Himmel, and hopefully we'll have a full convert again. So, Ranga isn't going to provide a lot of damage support, unlike BLANC, who is doing a lot of things. The 40 skill points, the orange buff, and the big-time damage buff, and the debuff if you're dark. Like that, those are very, very impactful things, which makes her worthy of being one of the best, if not the best, premium summonable characters. Ranga being a free-to-play character from the pre-second anniversary meta, getting a second life on what is becoming more common orange teams is kind of interesting. So let's actually take Frieren out. We'll bring Raphael in for her, And then we have 1 orange orb. Himmel would not convert that. So, let's do something funny here. And let's do both of Ranga's skills. So we'll change some of these orbs. Boom. Alright, cool. And then the oranges now have a 50% gauge increase. And then Himmel will give us the skill points. He'll convert the other 3. And now we'll be looking good. And next turn we could use the steel or something. So let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. That's quite a bit of protection gauge right there. Maximum skill points. It's a lot of alt gauge. And so if you have been running the Frieren team, or more recently the Tails team, and you've found that oranges don't give you enough protection gauge to cycle consistently, or they're not giving you, as much skill points as you would like, even though they're giving you 500. If you want something additional for that, then Ranga might actually be a solid pick for you because of how easy it is to use him. And while the cost is a bit high to skill fuse, I think there is precedent for skill fusing him and making use of that in the future. So the fact that we can cycle Himmel pretty easily, especially if we use the protection gauge buff from Raphael, they do stack together. So if we look at the orange, we get the 50% gauge increase, 500 skill point, protection from the charm, protection from Raphael's skill. So we're getting 140% protection gauge from everything going on. Like, that's a pretty significant amount. I don't know if we actually have enough to kill Ice here. We kind of need that damage buff from BLANC, but this is just more so an example than anything else. We'll take Ranga into the Wielder of Magic Chamber of Memories, and that will be pretty telling of what we can do there. So let's go ahead and boom, and I just kind of want to showcase how easy this is. The orange buff's still here for 1 more turn, right? Yeah, 1 more turn. It does last for 3. That is a bit better than what BLANC is doing, because she's doing 2 turns, but at a higher value. And then Stark is out. We'll go ahead and yoink those. Hopefully we steal that one. We sure don't, but because we're cycling Himmel every single turn, which we wouldn't do if we weren't running an orange gauge increase. The protection charm by itself is not enough to cycle oranges every single turn. Protection gauge traits do help a lot. Don't forget that. But having the extra 50% is what's super important, especially on a burst setting. Stacking setting, maybe not as important because we are getting a lot of conversion here. But it is quite easy. So we're on turn 5. Let's just go ahead and buff a little bit here. Not that it's going to matter. So 1, 2, 3. Sure, why not? We're not going to kill, but it's been very, very simple to get to this point, and it's more just an example of what we can potentially do here. So 209k, alright, cool. We're not going to do a lot. She has synergy resistance. So yeah, 1.6 million, and we Aegis as well, so that really cut us down. Alright, so yeah, he's going to work really, really well on the Frieren team, but the Frieren team is much easier to use than, say, the Tails team, so let's try that. Alright, we're going to put him on the Tails team. This took me a long time to get, because I just kept getting very unlucky with orbs and Hinata orbs, so we're going to voice it over. But Rimuru, Ranga. This is a magic team, so we will benefit off of the Pierce power, even though it's only 30%, because we're bringing Gobwa, who gives us Pierce and the Pierce down, and then Xion, Hinata. So mostly a full Tails team, trying to work into Ranga's ability, and both of his abilities, and then getting a little bit extra support with Gobwa, because this crit team is a bit nerfed in this fight, so we want to try and offset that a bit. Alright, so starting out, we're not going to be able to use Ranga until like turn 3 or something, because turn 1 we're going to steal these orbs with Hinata. We actually get a good hand where none of the orbs are, none of her starting orbs are blue, so we're going to yoink them and we're going to turn those other ones into oranges, so we only have greens and oranges here, which is good. And then next turn, we don't have enough points to do it again. We're going to get protection gauge from our 3 characters up front, so we'll get access to Rimuru. but we get literally no Hinata orbs. So we are kind of banking on a couple of things here. We could do a number of things, actually. We could steal like that and pray that we steal the blue, which we did. Or I could have brought Ranga in and used his convert and then the orange buff, and that also could have gotten us closer. It just wouldn't have given us any Hinata orbs for the Therion state, and it would have, she wouldn't be as strong. So we went with this kind of gamble. But now that Rimuru is active, we have a lot of points on turn 3, which means we can finally use the future hand of orange skill from Xion and the orange buff from Ranga. And if you need to convert some random hand, he only converts himself, Xion, and Xion. He doesn't convert Goblet or Hinata, unfortunately. But if you have like an excess of blues or greens, and you can bring Ranga in and make it work into an orb steal with Hinata, where she's stealing mostly oranges, then that's also a key benefit. And because the buff lasts for 3 turns, he really doesn't have to be up front very often. So he can just kind of go away and chill, and then come in as an orb changer when you need him for a certain slot, unless it's Hinata's, which we kind of have to leave her up front. But I do swap her away 1 turn in this fight, which may or may not, actually, I don't think it doomed us. Well, it might have, actually. Let's find out. So, like, this turn, right here. Like, we have 1 Hinata orb that's green. We have an incoming orange Goblet orb. So it's like, do we steal? We're not going to get a full hand because that green orb isn't going to work well. Let's just bring Ranga in and use his convert. And then we get the full hand of buffed up oranges. And we can bring Xion in and use her future thing. And then Hinata will just come in for the next person, whoever that may be, who has multiple orbs to steal. So this worked out pretty well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have the Xion EX ult. She is AoE though. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but the Slime Xion skill I think is a bit bugged. Because she should be making everyone act like, or most everyone act like they're a wind character, but we're not getting the extra damage increase from them acting like a wind unit, even though ice does have minus 50% to wind. So I don't really know what's going on there. We should be doing more damage. The skill might just be bugged. So, because I kind of have to go look at it, because like it does give us wind attack, right? And it does. So I don't know. Maybe it's just this stage that's negating it for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. But I think if we did have that, we would kill. Because unfortunately, spoiler alert, we don't. We are just a bit shy. I think that's a downside of Ranga not having a big-time damage support buff like Warrior's Mind BLANC, who we're used to seeing in this kind of setting. So there's a heal. Okay, cool, cool, cool. She has hurt a little bit. It's now turn 6. We have to use Ranga's buff again because it's been 3 turns. And that will mean that we get the Pierce power all the way through turn 8 when we want to nuke. So let's feature hand. Let's steal. Got a full hand of good orbs. And then we'll bring Ranga in for Gobla. And then use his orange buff again with the Pierce power. And we are continually sending more and more Hinata orbs. That's good. The extra buff to oranges means that we can reliably get her EX ult every turn at this point. Even if we have to send some green orb in the middle, 5 oranges is going to be more than enough with the 50% gauge increase to get the EX ult. So now we're getting to turn 7. Hinata is almost dead. The Therion state will not let her die, though. So as long as we have that up, or the Xion Resurrection skill, which we're going to use, then we will be just fine. So let's bring Xion in for Ranga, now that he has no orbs. Let's use her Resurrection skill. And then we could either leave her, or we could send her away. It's really up to you. But we're going to send her away for Gobla, so we could apply the debuffs for this turn, and they'll be active for next turn. And then that will give us everything that we want. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully we break the barrier. So here, ult for nothing, cool. Attack, 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 and then attack. But then she does get countered, or I thought she did, or she just gets hit. Oh, no, I was wrong. She got hit somewhere, I think, that maybe is a different run. But we have 412 points. We have 2 EX ults. Let's use the Goblet Pierce debuff and rate. Therefore, we're going to benefit from the 30% Pierce power from Ranga. We'll bring Xion in. She'll use her big time skill. And then we can bring Ranga in to convert that last orb, because we have the points for it, and that'll give us a full 6-hand send, which is nice. And then buff with Rimuru. And does Ice have synergy resistance? So yeah, we're up. There's the 30% pierce power, showing that we are benefiting from it. No, she actually doesn't have synergy resistance. So we're just short on damage here then. So miss that, break the barrier. I don't think that missed hit or that hit would have done us in. But 1.2 million, Xion hit a natural synergy, which initially I thought screwed us over, but there's no synergy resistance up here. But 3.2 million damage, and then Hinata comes in with 24 million. Not enough to kill, though. So that is the downside of bringing Ranga versus having access to Warrior's Mind, BLANC, or something. We are missing a lot of damage support. But we were able to cycle Rimuru pretty well, and we were able to get EX ults on a lot of turns. So Ranga, I think, did show his utility here, just not his damage support, because 30% pierce power is just not enough. Alright, and finally, let's put him on a Wielder of Magic-ish team and go into the Chamber of Memories built for it. So it's meant for Pierce, it's meant for oranges. We're going to bring Frieren and Frieren just so we can cheat. We're also going to bring Shinsha, who does give us the extra protection gauge on oranges, 60% for 2 turns. And that, combined with Ranga's 50, plus the charm that Milim has, means that we're going to be getting quite a bit of protection gauge. And this works really well on a burst team, especially because Milim is one of those older protectors who doesn't give passive skill points. She only gives them when you actually use her ability. So the more times you use her, the more times you can get free 40 skill points. But since everyone here is Wielder of Magic, we can just go ahead and use Ranga's turn 1 convert, and nothing to do there. We'll bring Fern and Frieren in, and then yeah, because Shinsha has turn 2 protection gauge as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, not a lot of orange gauge right there. Like, we started at nothing, and that's how much we got. So the difference that we're going to get once we actually get everything active is going to be fairly significant once we get to that point. Alright, so oof. Not a great hand, because we can't do much of anything with it. Let's do the orange buff. Let's bring Ranga back in. And you know what? Let's just do this. Let's do the reset now. Boom. And let's use his orb change again. I don't feel like resetting this over and over, because I had to do that for the friggin' Tails run earlier. That'll get us, with Fern's trait, access to Milim next turn. And that'll give us some skill points. That'll give us, hopefully, a full hand of oranges. And it'll give us, yeah, all of that. Body and Spirit Seal means that maybe we can't use the Unleash Magic state with Frieren. Not a super huge loss, to be perfectly honest with you. But let's do the orange buff. Shinsha's is still active for another turn, and then let's use Milim. Give us the extra 40 skill points, give us the Pierce rate. So we're going to get benefit from the Pierce power immediately. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should get us another EX ult for Fern. And then looking at her, we do have the Pierce power, Pierce rate. So 62 skill points means that we've got this. Let's alt rush just because we can, and that will ensure that we really, really get the Fern EX ult next turn. Alright, 15k. The alt, pretty strong for what it is, but the Shizu is also pretty weak. But now you see how much protection gauge we're getting versus how much we got turn 1. Like, it is pretty hefty amount that we can cycle now. Like, we got a full another Milim, essentially. So, let's do one more hand. One more. See, let's get you out of here. Let's get Frieren out of here, or Frieren in here. And then now we just have the Ranga buff. So let's use Shinsha again. Not that one. This one. orange damage and orange protection gauge. That will probably should allow us to cycle Milim one more time, give us some extra points, and that will be enough, hopefully, to nuke 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, exactly one more Milim. So we started at nothing, and so all of the buffs, the charm effect itself, 40%, the Shinsha 60%, the Ranga 50%, that will allow us to get a full gauge plus max points, which means we're actually going to be at 190 because of the free 40 from Milim. And that's pretty good. Pretty good. Now, I don't think we're going to have Pierce Power again, because it's going to... No, we're holding on to it with Frieren in the back, so we're good. So, let's do the Synergy and Alt. Boom. And then we'll bring Frieren in for Ranga, and we'll do the Milim buff. Boom. 40 points allows us to use the magic and synergy power with Frieren, and that should be more than enough damage to kill, because we're going to have 3 alts here. So Frieren, Frieren, Shinsha, boom, boom, and She's is going to die. Yeah, look at that. Not a lot of damage, but, you know, this is a very odd team with a very old protector and a free-to-play unit. So, I think Ranga, for what he is, being a free-to-play character, having a 50% all-gauge increase, is useful for people that find themselves struggling with orange teams, because there are a lot of them now that really rely on you having BLANC. Not just for the damage, but for just that gauge, to help oranges cycle better, to get more stacks of the protector, to get more skill points. So Ranga is a budget option for that. He's not the best, but he is free. So I think it's a pretty good skill fusion overall, but you guys can let me know what you think down in the comments. If you have skill fused him because you desperately needed that option, like, have you found him to be useful in the way that I thought he'd be? Or are you still a bit underwhelmed with this skill? Let me know, but that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.